But even with all of the losses, right, and the additions, the acquisitions throughout the offseason, we're starting to get preseason rosters, and I love these when they launch because we could see some of these preseason rosters have somewhere around like 25 names, but I love it when they come and they have like 30 to 35 names on them. Obviously, these rosters end up getting whittled down a little bit as the season looms closer. Obviously, it'll probably have some cuts, take place maybe around March, and then obviously ahead of the regular season as well. But let's take a look at what this preseason roster looks like right now as of our recording. We've got 3 goalkeepers for Gotham FC. It's Michelle Betos, Ashton Harris as Hensley Handcuff. For defenders, Amani Dorsey, Caprice Didasco, Elizabeth Eddy, Sabrina Flores, Mandy Freeman, Ellie Jean, Estelle Johnson, Ellie Krieger, Gina Lewandowski, Julia Grosso, Kellyanne Livingstone, and Amanda Visco. For the midfielders, Nicole Baxter, Jennifer Cujo, Naho Kawasumi, Ali Long, Christy Mewis, Dami Richardson, Delaney Sheehan, Taryn Torres, McCall Zerboni, Tess Bode. And for the forward core, you have Paige Monahan, Ifeoma Onumanu, Margaret Purse, Cameron Tucker, and Jenna Bike. Gotta say, I mean, we got about 30 or so names on this preseason roster. That's a lot of people to compete for different positions. Let's take a look maybe and break things down in terms of what we're looking for when it comes to perhaps an ideal starting 11, right? Just this is a lot to go through and look. And there's even names on here that maybe we just don't have enough information on the pitch, right, to sort of say who is going to crack that starting 11. So when I'm looking at this list, I could see already a handful of players that I think are possibly locks, right? When it comes day one for kickoff, when that opening whistle hits, who am I going to see in the starting 11 if everything goes great in preseason, everyone's happy and healthy? I'm looking at somebody like a Margaret Purse to absolutely be involved in that attack. We saw what this player brought and meant to this team during that 2021 season, how they played with her, what they looked like, and how they struggled a little bit without her and that long stretch of period for injury. But I'm also really eager to see what that defensive line looks like in terms of a starting 11, because this was a defense that was really heralded throughout the 2021 season. A lot of us were keeping an eye on it. We're like, hey, there's a very special defense that's happening, in terms of this back line and the goalkeeping unit for Gotham FC. But it's been shaken up a little bit ahead of the 2022 season. New names and some names from last year. How is it going to look for 2022 in terms of an ideal starting 11? Do you have one in place already, Lisa, or are there just some names that are sticking out for you right now?
Yes, I mean, when you mention like the locks already, you have to look at someone like Caprice Didasco, right? But defender of the year in 2021, a really good standout player that had not only consistency throughout every single game in 2021, but Didasco also got better. She challenged herself, and we saw new skills from Didasco towards the end of the season. So I think she's a lock in the back line. I think Estelle Johnson really made her way into the back line as being part of that brick wall for them. We touched on the goalkeepers earlier and being that biggest lost position. I think that, and I hope that there's a battle for starting goalkeeper between Michelle Betos and Ashlyn Harris, and to have that friendly competition to drive each one and push them a little bit harder. So goalkeeper is a bit of a question mark for me. If it ends up being Ashlyn Harris, I won't be surprised, but I'm keeping that a question mark. And then when you look in the midfield, I would love to see Gotham do 4 in the midfield if they could. Give us a diamond, why not, with Christy Mewis, Ali Long, McCall Zerboni, and Naho Kawasumi. I think that could provide a lot of flexibility and fun in the midfield that would cause a lot of trouble for opponents. But this starting lineup, it's so hard because we're just at the very, very start of preseason. We don't know what's going to happen. I think injuries often play a role in how players and personnel get shaped, especially throughout preseason, because if you can make your mark in preseason and then really crack that code to be in the starting 11 and prove yourself, you're looking pretty good. You're sitting pretty for the rest of the season. So it comes down to the first few games of the Challenge Cup and what we'll see. But a few locks for sure. Margaret Purce in the front line, Caprice Didasco and Estelle Johnson for me in the back line. And I think Allie Long in the midfield are, if we're going positionally, those are my top locks for Gotham.
Yeah, I don't think you're too far off in terms of, again, large preseason roster that we're looking at. As far as the names on this preseason roster, in terms of a young prospect, right? In terms of young talent that Gotham FC fans can look at and sort of maybe keep an eye on and say, I'm going to see what's going on with this player, track their development, see if they're going to make an impact. And then whether it's in this first year or a couple seasons down the line where they have a breakthrough, I think we're both looking at the same player here. We're looking at Cameron Tucker out of BYU as our young prospect to keep an eye on for Gotham FC.
I am. I'm looking at forward Cameron Tucker out of BYU. She signed a 2-year deal with Gotham. She spent 5 seasons at BYU. She entered the 2021 NWSL draft and got drafted, but chose to go back and play that extra season in college, which really helped her. That 5th season, she took BYU to the College Cup for the very first time in the school's history. She had 43 goals in her career, tied for 6th most all time, 29 assists, tied for 8th most of all time. Just really a good player overall. And because she had a lot of experience, 5 years at the college level, and now sliding into the professional game alongside forwards up top for Gotham in Margaret Purce, Ifeoma Onumonu, even Kawasumi, that can help really mold her into be a different attacking forward player. Paige Monahan can show her how it's done. Evelyn Vians. There's just a lot of smart soccer players in the forward group for Gotham. So if Cameron Tucker can lean into that, really try to grow and just be a sponge, this is a player that not only I think we could see get time with Gotham in 2022, but hopefully have a bit of a breakout game or two to prove herself and show that it was a good signing for Gotham to agree to a 2-year contract for Tucker.
I hear that. Moving on from our young prospects, we're taking a look at a player that we want to see take the next step. So in terms of our next step player, when we're taking a look at this preseason roster, we're keeping an eye on another forward in Paige Monahan. This is a player that's been with this franchise since 2019, drafted when they were still considered Sky Blue FC, right? A New Jersey native. There was a bit of a connection there. And again, I think this is maybe a player if attacking third was in existence in 2019, that maybe this was a player that we would have had pegged for, a young prospect to sort of keep an eye on. But here we are now entering the 2022 season. And for a player like Monahan, when you're looking at players sort of entering, right, that 3rd year, that 4th year into the NWSL, we're looking at these players and sort of gauging that development. Where are they at? Was their ceiling just what it is going to continue to be, or is there another level to these players and their games? And we've seen out of Paige Monahan for this franchise the impact that she can have when she's able to sort of get in there, build over the course of a game, right? And we got to see this sort of limited minutes throughout 2021. Again, another player that Gotham had to sort of deal with on the sidelines due to injury. So getting her back alongside Margaret Purce down the stretch, right, of that late playoff push that they were making, I think, again, this was another player where we saw Gotham looks a little bit different, maybe a little bit better when she's available and active on the pitch for them. So I would really love to see this player take that next step. I would really love to see what she looks like in kind of another full season, right? Alongside a new acquisition with somebody like Christy Mewis, right? It's going to maybe look different, maybe look better. We will see. We're going to have to keep an eye on that.